Long, long ago there lived at the foot of the mountain a poor farmer and his aged mother. They owned a bit of land from which they got their food, and they were humble, peaceful, and happy. Their province, however, was governed by a despotic leader who decided that old people are useless. This caused him to send out a cruel proclamation. The entire province was given strict orders, from henceforth, to abandon anyone who reached their 60th birthday in the mountains, and leave them to die. The poor farmer loved his aged mother with tender reverence, and the order filled his heart with sorrow. But no one ever thought twice about obeying the mandate of the governor, so with many deep and hopeless sighs, the youth prepared for the ascent up the mountain. Just at sundown, when his day's work was done, he took some unwhitened rice, which was the principal food for the poor, and he cooked, dried, and tied it in a square cloth, which he swung in a bundle around his neck, along with a gourd filled with cool, sweet water. Then he lifted his old mother to his back and started on his painful journey up the mountain. The road was long and steep. The narrow road was crossed and recrossed by many paths made by the hunters and woodcutters. In some places he got lost and confused, but he gave no heed. One path or another, it mattered not. On he went, climbing blindly upward, ever upward towards the bare summit of what is known as Obasuteyama, the mountain to abandon the aged. The old mother noted her son's reckless hastening from one path to another, and her loving heart grew anxious. Her son did not know the mountain's confusing paths, and therefore his descent might be full of danger. So she stretched forth her hand and started snapping the twigs from bushes as they passed. She quietly dropped a handful every few steps of the way so that as they climbed, the narrow path behind them was dotted at frequent intervals with tiny piles of twigs. At last the summit was reached. Weary and heart-sick, the youth gently released his burden and silently prepared a place of comfort as his last duty to the loved one. Gathering fallen pine needles, he made a soft cushion and tenderly lifted his old mother onto it. He wrapped her padded coat more closely about the stooping shoulders and with tearful eyes and an aching heart muttered farewell. The mother's gentle voice was full of unselfish love as she gave her last injunction. "Let not thine eyes be blinded, my son," she said. "The mountain road is full of dangers. Look carefully and follow the path which holds the piles of twigs. They will guide you to the familiar path farther down." The son's surprised eyes looked back over the path, then at his mother's old shriveled hands all scratched and soiled by their work of love. His heart broke within. Bowing to the ground, he cried aloud, "Oh, honorable mother, your kindness breaks my heart. I will not leave you. Together we will follow the path of twigs home, and together we will die." Once more he shouldered his burden, how light it seemed now, and hastened down the path, through the shadows and the moonlight, to the little hut in the valley. Beneath the kitchen floor was a walled closet for food, which was covered and hidden from view. There the son hid his mother, supplying her with everything she needed, continually watching and fearing she would be discovered. One day, a neighboring lord threatened to attack their province if they were unable to solve his riddle. The riddle was to figure out correctly which side of a tree branch was the tip, and which side was the root. The branch was cut in such a way that both ends looked exactly the same. The governor and the villagers were completely stumped and feared the attack inevitable. When the son told his mother about the riddle, she quickly gave him the answer: float the branch on water. As the root is heavier, the side that sinks slightly is the root. When the riddle was solved, the neighboring lord showed them two horses that looked exactly the same and demanded they guess correctly which is the parent and which is the child. Again, the son asked his mother and got an answer. Place one bucket of food in front of the two horses. A parent horse would let the child eat first. Both riddles thus solved, the neighboring lord decided to not attack the province. After all, if they can solve such riddles, who knows of what else they are capable? The governor, very pleased, summoned the youth and praised him greatly. Then he demanded to know where he had obtained his wisdom. The farmer bowed deeply, cried and told the governor the truth, while pleading for his mother's life. The governor listened in silence. Finally he lifted his head. "This province needs more than the strength of youth," he said gravely. "That I should have forgotten the well-known saying, 'With the crown of snow, there cometh wisdom.'" The governor summoned and rewarded the old mother and her son with much riches. That very hour the cruel law was abolished, and all old people were treated with respect and care from then on.